Off here. So welcome to those that are joining us in person. Thank you very much for coming, and those that are watching online, welcome Zoomers, and those that are watching the recording. This will be, I guess, our first council meeting, HR and Safety Council for the new year. We do this once a year where we combine both safety and HR into the same council because the topics are very relevant to both groups. And of course, we are here today to talk about workplace violence. And we have an expert in this field who's been a long time Safety Council presenter for us, NHR Council presenter for us, Scott Warrick. He is with Scott Warrick Human Resource Consulting, Coaching and Training Services, and Scott Warrick Employment Law Services. And I'll let him go into more detail on workplace violence. But before we get into the meat of the presentation today, I have, let's do a brief BWC announcement from Laura Smith, who I believe is on the Zoom call.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm not on video. I am in between visits right now. So I just wrapped up one of my on-site visits for the year. Big update there. BWC consultants, we are free and able to come out to your work sites. Our restrictions have been lifted quite a bit. So if you are able to have us out within your COVID restrictions at your company, and you would like to have a site survey conducted, either ergonomic, safety, or industrial hygiene, we are available for that fully now. And then also wanted to let you guys know that we do have a lot of webinars coming up. I'm going to send my PowerPoint to Matt. That way we can get it out to you guys so you can see the list of presentations that we do have coming up. And then just a big reminder that your OSHA 300 summaries need to be posted, or PERP summaries need to be posted at your work sites starting February 1st through April 30th. And then make sure you electronically submit those records to OSHA's website and also to the BWC if you are PERP by March 2nd. So if you guys have any questions on anything, feel free to reach out. But again, I'm going to send that information out to you via Matt after the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. And again, before we have Scott get us into the meat here, I'm going to have Heidi Jones with Marion Matters and the Employee Resource Network Director to give a brief announcement of a co-sponsored chamber presentation coming up later this month, I believe.
Hi, I'm Heidi Jones with Marion Matters. I'm also the co-chair of our Transportation Coalition in Marion. And as most of you know, transportation has been an issue that's been ongoing, but we're actually getting some traction and we're wanting some help from all of you. I've got a survey that ODOT is conducting to help us get a bigger picture of what the need is for transportation in both the city of Marion and the county. So these would be great to distribute amongst all of your employees. I've got a couple of paper copies for people in the room. Matt will send out a virtual link. And so what we'll do is on January 27th at 10:30, we're actually going to have Christy with RLS, who is conducting the survey on behalf of ODOT. She will be here to talk a little bit more about how we're going to move forward. There are dollars available, federal dollars available to help with expanding transportation. We have to prove the need in Marion. So we need all of your help to help us, access some of those funds. We know transportation is an issue. So if you could, in preparation for that meeting, obviously we'd like for you to attend. Maybe be prepared to talk about how transportation has impacted your workforce, because that will really give us some impact as we're going towards collecting those dollars. So I will leave the paper copies here, a little bit of information here about Marion Matters for those in the room, and then everyone else will get a link from Matt, and hopefully we can get something cooking with transportation with your help. So thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Heidi. And again, more information will be sent out to everybody here. Both councils will get that information. And with no further ado, I will hand it over to Scott for the remainder of the program.
Okay, great. All right.
Well, kick this on.
Yep, no problem. Good afternoon. Yeah, I got to be careful about that. So you have no idea how happy I am to be around people. I mean, this is, and how privileged you should be that I put on pants. Okay, so I'll tell you, in the last 2 years, I have got a great collection of gym shorts with pockets, sweatpants with pockets, you know, all the things that you need to secure with COVID. Okay, so now will the people out there, if they've got questions, will they be able to ask questions, Matt?
Yes, correct. I'll be watching the chat.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, good. So, you know, we're gonna take a lighter look at workplace violence, so I'm not really sure how well that goes, but I will tell you, now, let me just ask the people here and the people in the chat, because chatting us up, that's always a great thing, okay? Do you think the world is becoming more violent? What do you think? I'm getting lots of, yeah, okay, got some good things here, okay. What do you think out in chat land? Are we getting more violent in our world today by watching the news, you know? Good, yes, getting lots of yeses. Let me ask a good follow-up, because the two are related to each other. Are we tolerant of each other's opinions? Is it okay to have your own opinion on something? Oh, I love this, okay, because, I'm sorry, what's your name? Katrina. Gives me a good answer here, says, yes, you're allowed to have your own opinion. Are you allowed to have your opinion? And let's pick something that is real timely right now. Vaccinations. Okay, the United States Supreme Court is pondering this, okay? Let me tell you what they're really doing. They're at war with each other, running back and forth to each other's offices, trying to get votes. That's what they're doing. Okay, is that a highly sensitive topic? Okay, let me ask a good question. Is it safe to bring in a bunch of people and have at your workplaces and have a good, honest discussion about whether or not vaccination should be mandated? What could happen?
A fight, argument.
Fight, okay, oh, all right, so, I almost forgot about this. I think I'd be more excited about it. Okay, Katrina, you just want a book?
Oh,
Yeah, okay, so, this is my latest book, and that's what it's about. I was gonna retire. I've been doing this for 40 years, either an employment attorney or an HR guy. And I'll tell you, I think a lot of this really came to a head with George Floyd. You think? I mean, they get the world's attention, either what side you're on or whatever, and Derek Chauvin and, you know, this type of stuff. And we've got a lot more of these. It is amazing, the intolerance, okay? And I brought the original title to the book, just my smart aleck sense of humor. And I wanted to include everybody. White people, black people, Democrats, Republicans. So the original title was Tolerance and Diversity for White Guys and Other Human Beings. Okay, that's just me. I thought, hey, that's pretty funny. Okay, then the death threats started coming. Okay, yeah. So the new title is Living the 5 Skills of Tolerance. Okay, but honestly, it's the same book, different title. But that's what our world's become like. And I'll tell you, if you get up and talk about tolerance, like we're going to talk in here today, boy, you better be ready. I actually turned my desk sideways, so my bookcase is against my window. So if a bullet comes through, it'll have to hit my bookcase first, and probably a cat. Okay, isn't that sad? That's sad. Okay, so where are we going? Where are we going? I can't change the world, but I can change the way that you run your workplaces. And let me tell you right now, I like what the announcement was here at the beginning. Transportation, if you don't have transportation to your workplace, can you attract and recruit employees? People got to get there. And this is Ohio. You can't just ride your bike everywhere you go. Okay, this isn't like Phoenix. Okay, so you got to have a system to get people there. And I will tell you right now, is it safe? And I'm doing a lot of research and putting together a new program on attracting and retaining Gen Zers and Gen Yers. I will tell you, the way that we are doing business now has completely got to change. Completely got to change. But the first and foremost thing, they absolutely demand that it is safe. Now, I love doing this for safety folks. When I say, is it safe to come to work? What pops into your mind? What do you think of? Your fingers and toes? Okay, yeah, you got to keep your fingers and toes. How many people have somebody at the workplace whose job it is to go around and sweep up the fingers and toes at the end of the day? Anybody out there in chat land? You got somebody doing that? You darn well better. And our workers' comp rep is still on here, right? Yeah. So we think of that. This fits perfectly into that. COVID. We're all spread out here, okay? Or I'm sure everybody has hand sanitizer on you and things like this, okay? And the wonderful thing these days, which was not true 2 years ago, there are paper towels in all the men's bathrooms I go to. Now, let me just talk to the ladies for a moment here. This shocks you, doesn't it? You would think that there would always be paper towels in the bathrooms. Boy, I mean, probably half of the men's rooms I go in, there are no paper towels. And nobody worried about it a whole lot, except for the OCD germaphobes. You would wash your hands, there's no towels. No, okay, so you just, give it one of these and off you go. Boy, oh boy, there's not only towels in there now, there's hand sanitizer. So you kind of see where we're going. Is it safe? Now, I'm going to take you a little further. Okay, is it safe to be different? I will tell you right now, how many people right on you right now, you've got a video recorder or an audio recorder on you right now? Okay, you see every week somebody, you seeing this? Somebody somewhere every week is destroying their own lives. They're flushing their life because they're going to get up and they're going to say something incredibly stupid when they're upset. And what are the chances somebody's going to record that? So think about this. Is it safe? Is it safe to be female in the safety arena? Is it safe to be white? Is it safe to be black? Is it safe to be a Democrat? Is it safe to be a Republican? And I'll tell you right now, in a lot of places, the answer to that is no. I've got workplace violence breaking out this week, and it's only Wednesday, okay, over the vaccinations, because it's on people's minds. Do you understand? And everybody in chat land, put your antennas up here. Whatever happens in the world today is in your workplace tomorrow. Okay, so here we go. Is it safe to be pro-Trump in your workplace? Now, here we go. Your opinion. Is it really, think about this. Is it safe to have an opinion on gun control? Will somebody put a fork in your head? You see how childish we are? Think about this. You can't have an opinion these days. Our world is teaching us that if somebody disagrees with you, attack them. Attack. Wait a minute. And how about pro-life, pro-choice? I put that in there because the United States Supreme Court is hearing cases on abortion. Okay, how many people in here and in TV land out there, you have a right to your opinion? That's right, as long as it agrees with mine. Okay, now you kind of see the vaccinations. Okay, are there people, and understand we all do this, are there people out there who will attack you if you are pro-vaccination? Yeah, so if you are pro-vaccination, there will be someone from the far right coming around to get you. And if you are anti-vax, will there be somebody from the far left ready to come and get you? Now, let me ask you, really, this is a serious question. If I'm a radical and I go 180 degrees from the right, or I go 180 degrees from the left, don't you meet in the middle? You're the same thing. No, I don't. And I'll tell you, we have people who are really, 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 really woke, which means if you disagree with them, they will ruin your life. They will attack. No, it's okay to have an opinion. Now, I'm not talking about behaviors. We're going to control behaviors and things like this, but I will tell you, the world's going crazy. And I will tell you right now, if you happen to have people in your workplace who are going 180 degrees to the right, you can't disagree with them on anything. Maskings, okay? My son, who, by the way, is he's 23 years old. In high school, he was a linebacker, big, strong kid, 2 state championship rings. Okay, and he's studying to be a physical therapist now. Okay, so to break up his day, to really clear his mind, he got a job at Giant Eagle. He likes his job at Giant Eagle. They treat him great. He just got a new zip up sweatshirt yesterday that he came home and showed me, and it's pretty cool. I might borrow it. Okay. He passes out masks. Now, let me tell you, what are most people like when you're there passing out free masks? What are most people like? Well, you got, yeah. But what are some people doing? They are cussing him out, saying the most horrible things about his mother. Does that make sense? Okay, can you see how this is going to invade our workplace? And I'll tell you right now, I got people listening. I'm doing lunch and learns, all kinds of stuff. And I have people who are from the far right, and people from the far left. And they feel perfectly justified in attacking you if you have a different opinion. Okay, let me ask you. If you get a punch in the face from the right, or a punch in the face from the left, same punch in the face, isn't it? No, you do. I don't care who you are, and I do not care what your political beliefs are. You have a right to attack anyone. And I'll tell you, let me ask you, if you've got people like that, and you all have people like that, are you like me? I got them in my family. You got them? You got them? Oh, makes the holidays horrible, just horrible, okay? What's that going to do to your workplace? See, I'll tell you, we can't change the world, but those of you who are Marvel fans and are familiar with Wakanda, we're going to put a protective shield over your place. And let me tell you right now, that protective shield says we are not going to do what they're doing in the world. Because I'm here to tell you right now, what they're doing in the world is wrong. It's all wrong. You do not have a right to verbally attack somebody and call them stupid when they happen to disagree with your illustrious opinion. Okay? Can you feel the emotional child coming out? I will tell you right now, we could spend all day on this, but I got an hour to hit on some pretty sticky stuff. And here's my whole thing. Tolerance. Tolerance doesn't mean I'm going to tolerate you or put up with you. It means, oh, and by the way, this is from the United States Supreme Court. Do you ever hear think the United States Supreme Court is pretty good authority? Do you think if the United States Supreme Court says you have to do something that you have a choice in the matter? I don't think you do, because it didn't say justice in front of my name. Okay, so quite frankly, let me tell you, it doesn't matter what I think. The EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, has put in its regulations, its requirements that you are tolerant, not that you're accepting. Because if I say you have to be accepting of Allah, the Balian, you have to accept pro-life, pro-choice. Now, I don't have a right to tell you how to think. Do I have a right to tell you how to behave? I want that in your culture. Tolerance is not a fuzzy feel-good thing. Okay? You know what it is? I'm not going to bully you or pick on you because you're different. All right? So that's what trust is. If you don't define your terms, you won't be able to do it. And I'll tell you, you've got to make sure that this is clear. I've discovered that subtlety gets you nowhere. All right? So simple is brilliant. Can everybody remember that? Is it safe? Is it safe? And I know you all out there have mission statements. So let's think of a mission statement, okay? We have a mission statement at ABC Industries in which all employees are, it is safe for all employees and customers to come to work and use our products. That sound pretty good? Doesn't that sound good? Okay, if I whispered that into Matt's ear, okay? And then Matt's going to whisper it to Katrina. And your name? Joe. Joe. Going to whisper it into Joe's. Where's it going to get lost? Our fourth guy ain't never going to hear this thing. It ain't getting to you. Maybe not even to Joe. So you see why a lot of our goals fall apart. According to Forbes magazine, 66% of all of you out there are not going to hit your strategic goals. Why? Because they're too complicated. So try this on for size. Safe. Is it safe? And I'll tell you, when I sit down to coach people, I cannot coach people anymore without listening to what they did and things like this. And then I'll ask them, okay, did you make it more or less safe for that other employee? Well, I was just really upset. I understand you're upset. Absolutely. But you yelled at Joe. You yelled at Betty. That's not acceptable. Okay? Let me tell you right now, if you have an unsafe environment, this slide is really critical for you. And this is coming from an employment attorney. You will never have workplace legal issues, employment law issues, never. Even though employment law is the fastest growing area of the law. You know, your chances of getting sued by your own people are better than anything else. The EEOC, if somebody files a lawsuit with the EEOC today, it'll be a year before they even get to it. They're 50-some thousand cases behind, okay? Oh, and you'll never have workplace violence issues. Those are symptoms. Oh, and you'll never have morale issues. Those are symptoms. What are the symptoms of? A toxic work environment. And what does it mean? It isn't safe to disagree with my supervisor. It isn't safe to be different. It isn't safe to be Jewish. It isn't safe to be Democrat. It isn't safe to be pro-Trump, and it isn't safe to be pro-Biden. Take your pick, whatever somebody's going to attack you over. Now, let me ask you, again, is it safe to voice your opinion in your work, in most workplaces in America? Or will somebody maybe put a fork in your head? Oh, yeah. So let me show you what our workplaces are like. And this is going to get to the root cause of 2021, in which we had more murders and suicides than I've ever seen in my life. Are people going crazy? Yeah, with COVID and everything, I will tell you, the cortisol and adrenaline is churning. You know, all that cortisol and adrenaline, when your gut is tightening up, 25% of all that goes to your brain and it burns it. We could do a whole session just on healing the human brain and what happens. That's how our soldiers get post-traumatic stress disorder. And I mean tough guys, tough. Anybody familiar with Navy SEALs? Whoa, oh man. Honestly, it's like, holy cow, when you go through to be a Navy SEAL, it's superhuman. Navy SEAls are coming home and killing themselves. Okay, so all this COVID stuff for a couple of years, you know, the pharmaceutical companies are running out of antidepressants. Can't keep them stocked. Why? Because everybody's needing them. Okay, so let me show you what our workplaces are like. And here's why this is really critical. The American Psychological Association does a study every year as to what the most stressful things are for us. And we got a lot of stressors, health issues, children, parents, we got a lot of stressors. Number one or number two every year is either your job or your finances. Always, and they're connected, aren't they? Okay, so here's our workplaces. Back in 2007, which is when the APA started tracking this stuff, 77% of all Americans said they hate their job. Everybody get this? Hate. Not that they don't like it. Honest to God, a lot of folks would rather literally cut off their little finger than go into work with you. You don't really need it, right? I mean, it's just an extra, okay? Now, that was 2007. Oh, guess what? Last year, Staff Squared reported 85% of all employees hate their job. Hate it. Makes 77% look pretty good, doesn't it? New York Daily News. This is the good news. This is the best survey I could find. Only 70% of all Americans are miserable at work. Okay, can you feel the depression coming? The short fuses? Oh, in 2018, 34% of all Americans show up to work every day and do the best they can for you. How can you survive on that? Oh, and 13% are actively disengaged. What's that mean? They're spitting in your chili. They are sabotaging your product. They're slowing down. Now, here's the kicker. And I got a whole bunch of folks here out in chat land and right here. Why? Why do so many people hate their job or they're miserable at work. Is it the work or is it the people? It's the people. It's the people. It's the bullies. And I will tell you, that is exactly what is killing us. It's giving us mental disorders. And I'll tell you, it isn't safe. It is not safe for people to come to work. See why I love doing this for safety councils? Safety, because you've already got safety programs. This is not a new program. Ever hear me out there? This is not a new program. This is an extension of what you are already doing. And I will tell you how we disagree with each other. That honestly, put your ego away. It's okay to disagree. If not, let me show you what is happening in American workplaces. We have more. We actually topped more than 2 murders or homicides a day in American workplaces. Now think about that. It's safer for your kids to go to school. It's safer for you to go to the mall. We've all seen what happens. Somebody goes, out of their mind at the mall, right? Oh, American workplaces, most dangerous workplaces in the industrialized world. Oh, and I'll tell you, not everybody's a good shot. All right. And sometimes people just snap. There are over 2 million. Are you getting an idea? 1 million? 2 million physical assaults that occur in American workplaces every year. Now, I can't get my arms around it, but I can imagine 38,000 physical assaults every week. Now, think about that. That means today's Wednesday, literally at the middle of the week. Okay? That means about 18,000 people statistically will need an emergency room visit or something like that because someone they have worked with on average for more than 5 years finally snaps. And off go the coffee cups and the staples. Now, think about this for a minute. Why is it an important statistic that the people who usually commit workplace violence have been with you for more than 5 years? What's happening in that 5-year period? Building, it's building, it's building, it's building. I want to know, where's management? See, we focus so much on OSHA regulations, and we focus so much on lockout, tag out, and all these other good things, and they are good things. That's not what's going to kill you. That's not what's going to get a stapler in your head. It's working with that emotional child that you can't disagree with. And you all of you, and Chatland and everything, you're all picturing somebody in your head right now, aren't you? Everybody's got that bully in their mind, and sometimes you happen to be related to them. Okay, now first and foremost, I want you to recognize workplace violence very early. Because really, here's the logic, and this is right from OSHA. I agree with this 1,000%. So somebody is getting picked on. And remember, most people who commit acts of workplace violence have been with you for more than 5 years. So doesn't that give you a little bit of time to get on this stuff? So somebody's getting picked on, somebody's getting bullied. It takes a while for somebody to go from calm to upset to angry to enraged. Okay. How long does it take for somebody to go from enraged to attacking you? Instantaneously. Actually, you want to hear something pretty interesting? The human brain's emotional system can kick in 17 thousandths of a second. So you see, my logic and the logic of OSHA is, let's get on this early. Get on this early. We want to end this stuff back here. And think about this. If you had an employee, picture your bully employee, and he just had a meltdown that day, just fell apart and smashed and kicked and destroyed a $10,000 copy. Okay, that'd be bad, wouldn't it? Okay, let me ask you, Let's see what the chat says. If somebody busts a $10,000 copier, what's going to happen to that employee? Anybody have any thoughts on the matter?
Terminated.
Terminated. Okay, very good. Joe, you win a book. Okay, there you see, it's pretty easy, isn't it? You just speak up and there you go. You get a book. Okay, this half of the room is doing much better than this half. So, all right. Did anybody tell us anything in the chat? Does anybody think that person's getting fired?
I think you got answered.
I got answered too quick by Joe. Okay, very good. You're fired. Now think about this. Yes, it's a $10,000 copier. But people do melt down, don't they? How many people in here or out there in TV land or chat land, how many people have ever just lost it? Just lost it. Because if you don't recognize that you ever have just lost it, you're either delusional or you're not human. Okay, that's what we do. But think about this. By the time you pay an employee $10 to $15 an hour, pay their benefits. I mean, family health insurance coverage is usually $15,000 to $20,000 a year. Then you got workers' comp, you got unemployment, you got tax, most of your people are $60,000 to $70,000, $80,000 a year people. Now think about this. We'll fire somebody on the spot for destroying a $10,000 copier, but we let employees beat the ever-living hell out of each other and don't do anything about it. That's a $60,000, $70,000 investment that you might not, in today's labor market, you might not be able to replace. Oh, and here's another hint. Copiers don't come back and sue you. They don't shoot you either. Okay? So you see, we got everything back asswards. I wish we treated people we treat the copiers. I mean, holy cow. I mean, we load paper in them, we pet them, we shine them up. We hire people to come in and make sure they're working okay, don't we? See, it's a new world, folks. So look what Osha's telling us. Any actual or threatened physical or verbal, nonverbal abuse. Okay, freeze right there. Nonverbal abuse. Glaring, staring, flipping off your friends and coworkers. Okay. Are those things we should get involved with? I can tell you right now, absolutely. And again, I'm going to show you a little system of EPR, empathic listening, parroting, and rewards. Bring someone in that's just glaring at people. I sit down and say, hey, got some empathic listening, E. And you got some folks here that are kind of upset that they say you're glaring at them. What's going on? Oh, I'm not doing that. Really? You're kind of doing it right now. Okay. I mean, is your face up like that or what's the deal here? Okay. So address it. I want you to get away from the idea of thinking every time you coach an employee, it's a trip to the woodshed. No, this is something that person's got to improve on. And I will tell you right now, most of the time when I sit down and I talk to employees, there's something going on with them that is really bad. This whole thing, you leave your problems at the door when you come to work, that doesn't work unless you're multiple personality. We humans take everything with us. So no, I want to get on this early. And this occurs inside or outside of the organization. Freeze right there. Are you responsible for what someone posts on Facebook that is very insulting to a coworker? Everybody do this. Everybody do this. Absolutely. And that's not new, folks. That's from 2008. Our Sixth Circuit ruled way back in 2008. They said, employers, if you've got somebody who is bullying someone or harassing somebody off the job on Monday night, how do you work with them on Tuesday like nothing happened? Guess what? You are responsible. So you got to train your people. Oh no, it's got to be safe. All this stuff boils down, is it safe? Is it safe? Okay, and I had one person, one guy, who's actually pretty good at shop. He took a picture of some great big, morbidly obese fat guy sitting sideways, naked at the computer. And what did he do? He took Ethel's face and put Ethel's head on the big, fat, morbidly obese guy's body. Okay, now, first of all, yes, it was funny. It was funny. It was pretty funny. Is that a defense? No, you can't argue, well, yeah, that was pretty funny. That is not an excuse. Okay, now think about this. Okay, what do you think that's going to do to Ethel? Ethel's family. You take that down, and I always hear this, well, that's on my own time. Then you're going to have a lot of time on your own time, because have you just made it safe for Ethel? And what does everybody else think? That's got to come down. You've got to let your employees know they always represent your organization. And that's public sector and private sector alike. Welcome to 2022. You got that right in your handbook. Very good. Absolutely, because you trained to that then. Because I'll bet you a word of warning. You think my guy thought, hey, it's perfectly within his rights, 11:30 at night, go on the computer and post this Photoshop picture of Ethel? Yeah, he didn't think anything about it. No, you always represent our organization. Always. Okay, so any actual or threatened physical, verbal, or nonverbal abuse occurring either inside or outside the organization, that can create an internal atmosphere where administration or management, whatever you call yourselves, believes the reasonable person in the community would feel intimidated or threatened. Now, freeze right there. You see this reasonable person standard? How do you know what's offensive in the world today? I'll tell you, this actually comes from the United States Supreme Court in 1993. Yeah, 93. Just out of curiosity, can we do a poll out there? Anybody raise your hands? How many people weren't born yet? 1993, you weren't even born yet. Anybody? Not yet? Okay, okay. I mean, that's getting to be about 30 years ago. We got one, okay. Here's the standard. What's offensive? What would most people in the community think? Now think, back in 93, the reasonable community could have been Marion, Ohio. Could have been Ohio. Okay, today with digital technology, what's the local community today, do you think? How fast does news spread? Lightning. So here's what I tell my clients, and this is what I suggest you take on. Don't do anything that wouldn't look good on the front page of USA Today. Because that's where you might end up, huh? Okay, so here we go. Let's apply Ethel. You got Ethel's face on some 400-pound naked guy's body. Okay. Would the reasonable person in the community think that that was offensive? Oh, I think so. Now, some people would say, oh, just kidding, right? That's not the test. The test is what would most people think. And I think there's a lot of common sense in there, and you kind of see that's what we're getting right here. Okay? Now, let's look at the whole thing. Any actual or threatened physical, verbal, nonverbal abuse occurring inside or outside the organization that can create an internal atmosphere where management believes the reasonable person in the community, right from the Supreme Court, would feel intimidated or threatened to the point they would not be able to function properly. It's going to affect your ability to do your job. What's this sum up? Doing something to someone else and they're not, is making them feel unsafe. And I'll tell you right now, folks, if you're trying to recruit and retain Gen Zers, they won't say a word to you. They will just never show up again. Because how soon, how quick can a Gen Z or a Gen Y get another job? That next day. Okay. I've got a lot of stuff to send you. I'll send this to you so you can put it in your handbook. Just, you know, my website, scottwarrick.com. So all my information, I think my website's at the front of your handout. My email address is there. Just shoot me an email address saying, hey, Scott, send me the extra stuff from the Marion Chamber. And I'll shoot it right out to you. I'll shoot you some stuff on tolerance, on making this stuff into policy, and this entire policy in Word so that you can put this into your handbooks and start using it like right away. Does that make sense? Okay, let's take a breath. Questions, comments, deep religious concerns over anything we've talked about so far? Making sense? Getting good? Okay, very good. Okay. If you show me somebody who is intolerant, someone who is a bully, I will show you someone who is an emotional child. You control your ego and emotions. Okay, and I just love this. Why do we snap? You got to appreciate the traffic here. Anger management. When angry with someone, it helps to sit down and think about the problem. I just love that. I just, so, okay. Now, think about this. We're all under so much more pressure with COVID and finances and everything. We are still cavemen and women. All of us. Fight or flight. And you're seeing more people reverting to fight or flight. And what's flight? It means they won't say anything to your face. They stab you in the back later. Okay, so you see your frontal lobes up there? I think a picture's worth 1,000 words. This right here is why we can build bridges. Our frontal lobes, executive functions, our logical brain, right? We build cities, transportation, okay? That we stay warm in the winter. So we have a life expectancy into the 70s as opposed to the 30s, okay? Look at what is in the center of your brain, your amygdalas. That is your fight or flight response, which really, we just discovered this in 1992. Took about 8, 9, 10 years to figure out what it did, okay? So think about this. I have been stressed and stressed and stressed. And again, what are the biggest stressors in most people's lives? Job and finances, and we're not handling the bullies. So people snap and they either send you to the emergency room, or they kill you, or they kill themselves. And understand what I'm saying? 2021 will go down as one of the most dangerous and lethal years of employment in America, ever. Okay, so this is all of us. You see a stimulus, you hear it, you taste it, you smell it. In 17 thousandths of a second, you can send a message down that blue cord. That's your vagus nerve. That has one primary job: keep you alive, to let you know when there's a danger. Now, think about it. We all have one fight or flight response. We don't have one for when somebody smacks us in the face. And we don't have another one for when somebody yells at us or demeans us or tells us we're stupid because we're wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. It's called endangerment. And this is what I want to make sure that you get through to your people. There is no difference to the human animal as far as fight or flight is concerned, smacking somebody in the face and smacking their self-esteem. Now you see right there, nonverbals. That's an act of workplace violence according to OSHA. Glaring at somebody, yelling at somebody, that's an act of workplace violence. Why? Because the body's going to go into fight or flight and you are playing with dynamite. That human can get you. Okay, so this is why this is happening so fast. That message is going down to your kidneys. That's why you always listen to your gut, because that's where your adrenal glands are sitting. They'll release massive amounts of adrenaline and cortisol. What does that adrenaline do to your heart rate? Speeds it up. Now think of the miracle of the human body. Our heart rate, so that we can run from lions and tigers and bears, our heart rate can speed up 10 to 30 beats in one heartbeat. Oh my God, that to get you ready. All right, so when your heart rate hits 145 beats per minute, you go into fight or flight. If your heart rate hits 175 beats per minute, you go what we call temporarily autistic. What's that mean? You don't have control over yourself anymore. You go on full automatic. You ever seen somebody just completely lose it? And they'll say something like, I don't know what came over me. Or they'll say, I don't even remember that. Yeah. Fight or flight came over you. Fred Flintstone came over you. That's what we're wired to do. Okay? So When your heart rate hits 145 beats per minute, the blood goes to your arms and legs and lungs. Are you with me? You getting ready for battle or to run away? You just automatically sent the blood to your arms and legs and lungs. You didn't make any more blood. Where leave? Your brain. Your brain impairs. You're nuts. I am here to tell you, the human animal is hardwired to go crazy. Absolutely. You know, the human animal is the most homicidal mammal on the planet. Oh, by far. The human animal is 7 times more homicidal, means we'll kill our own, than any other mammal on the planet. Now you know why. Okay, so this is my brain. I had it scanned. I'll just show you what's happening in your brain, because I want you to understand, if you know what's happening in your brain, you can help control it. Slow things down. There are times to walk away. But also, we don't want to have an environment where people dread coming into work, where I'm going to get picked on. The bad part of bullying isn't when you're getting bullied. Anybody know what the bad part of bullying is? Waiting for it. That's what our soldiers in combat aren't getting shot at all the time, but they're sitting around waiting all the time to get shot at. Drives them crazy. That's my brain in 2008. This is a brain scan. I'm laying down. I'm looking up at the ceiling. So you're looking through the bottom of my chin, okay, through the bottom of my brain. Does it make sense? My forehead's at the top, base of my head's on the bottom. Okay. All from the white line up. Those are my frontal lobes. This is me at rest. I'm calm. And I'm very proud of my calm image here. Look, it's all nice and full. I'm getting good blood flow. Great blood flow. That means I can think. It's like right now, you all have good blood flow to your brains. So you can think, you can reason. What would happen to your frontal lobes, you suppose, if I pissed you off? Because that's what they did to me. All right, they put me in the machine the next day. Next day I come back in, and they give you a game, a computer game to play that you can't win. So it's sort of the equivalent of, you sit there with a joystick, something like this, and you're trying to catch the gold coins, and they keep moving, and you can't get them, and you really get mad. They go, okay, he's really upset. Put him in there, okay? So they put me in the machine. Look at the holes. Look at them. This is me the day before. That's me now. The blood go. My arms and legs and lungs. I'm getting ready to kill you. That is what humans do. Now, freeze right there. You really want to yell at that human again? You really see how it's much better to kick a copier? Much better. Okay, you gotta be kidding. This is what we do. Those aren't really holes. That shows in my 2 frontal lobes, I'm not getting good blood flow. So what kind of emotional decisions do you think I'm gonna make? Oh, and let me tell you, once you've drained the blood from your frontal lobes and you flooded it with cortisol and adrenaline, it will take about an hour to dissipate and to get the blood back into your brain. What's that mean? You do not want to be having any serious conversations for the next hour. Make sense? Okay, now, can you damage your brain? I talked about COVID. Okay, how many people here forget things when you're stressed? You get flustered. Do you ever wonder why that is? Here's why that is, folks. So you go into fight or flight again, just like we talked about. You're going to release massive amounts of adrenaline and cortisol. Okay, that's going to flood your brain. Okay, now it's going to flood your amygdala. That's your fight or flight response. See those 2 little guys back here? Those little worms that buttress right up against your amygdala, your fight or flight response? That's your short-term memory. You are flooding your short-term memory with toxic materials. Massive amounts of adrenaline and cortisol. Those little dendrites, okay? Those little dendrites catch your thoughts. That's what they do. They catch your thoughts. Your brain feels like soft, room temperature butter. What do you think is going to happen when you pour gasoline on those little dendrites that feel like soft room temperature butter? You're going to freeze and burn. How are you going to catch any thoughts? Let me tell you right now, the neurons in your brain have a life expectancy of 120 years. 120 years. Does anybody know anyone that's lived 110 years? You know what that means? You should never have short-term memory. Never. And at what age do we all typically start to lose our short-term memories? 40s? 50s? Sometimes the 30s? Yeah, okay. Oh, and you know why? Because we treat our brains like soccer balls. And if you're burning that area of your brain, you're burning other areas of your brain too. Okay, so this is what's happening to a lot of us today. That's a normal, healthy brain. Anything in blue is a nice, even temperature. Everything in red is 15% hot. Well, this is all normal. This is a 40-year-old guy, a little touch of depression. That's your limbic system. That's a little bit of anxiety. There's your basal ganglia. That's normal. Does this brain look angry? This is what we call post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay? Massive depression. Look how burned that is. How do you think he burned his brain? Constant flooding of adrenaline and cortisol. Let me tell you right now, 75% of everybody who retires through the public sector in Ohio will retire on psychotropic medications for the rest of their lives. Because we create these pits of environments and we treat the copiers better. You kind of see where it's amazing we don't have more workplace violence. Yes, please.
Does that repair itself?
Yes. Yeah, great question. Can this repair itself? And the answer to that is absolutely. Okay, because I'm really into, put it this way, I think if you understand what is happening in your brain and that you're damaging your brain. Oh, let me also clue everybody in that basically cortisol is a determinant of Alzheimer's. Yes, it gives you Alzheimer's. And you will start your Alzheimer's 30 or 40 years before you're symptomatic. Now, freeze right there. You don't want bullies in your life, do you? You want a safe environment. This is meant to motivate you, not scare you, okay? And that is very similar to what my brain looked like in 2008, and my brain is now back to this. Okay, so yes, now it takes a long time. My advice is don't jump in that hole in the first place, okay? But after the horse is out the door, so. But oh yes, this is very repairable. And if you go to my website, scottwarrick.com, and look at the free videos and stuff like this, I've got videos there on how you repair your brain and everything. And my next book is actually going to be on healing the human brain. So no, it's absolutely. And the sooner you start, the better. Okay, so you kind of see, you got to have a safe environment. Otherwise, this is going to happen to you. It happened to me. And I'll tell you, I send 7, 8, 9, 10 people a year to go get brain scans because they can't control themselves. They've always come back hot. Okay, so makes sense? So do we all have an interest in making sure that we have a good, safe environment? And if anybody sends me a link or send me your email address, I will also send you some stuff on the brain repair stuff that I've got, because I've got draft copies of the book. I'll send you the draft copies. Okay. Now, let me ask you a real serious question. Whose job is it to see that you have a safe environment to work in? It's everybody. Not everybody? Absolutely. So I'll tell you, this is why nice people stink. Okay? Let me tell you right now, if you're in supervision, you cannot be in supervision. You cannot address and resolve conflict. Otherwise, you're an enabler. And I'll tell you, who's got these people in your family? They will never say anything to your face. They wait until you leave. Okay? See, fight or flight, right? Some people are attackers. And that's easy enough to work on because it's so obvious when they do it. Don't do that. That other person might kill you, and you're flooding your brain and burning it. Okay, that's why mental disorders, once they get started, get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, because if you're going into a rage, what do you think you're doing to your brain? And I always love this. Do you really think that this can kill a Navy SEAL, but it won't affect you? Oh, I wish I could do half the things. I wish I could do 10% of the things that a Navy SEAL can do. Okay, so what's the flight part? Passive aggressives. Now, let me clue you in here. First of all you supervisors, you absolutely positively have to make sure that you can address and resolve conflict. And that's what I was talking about, the EPR, empathic listening, parroting, and rewards. We won't spend much time on that. I just want to mention it. I'll send you more information on that because I want you to make a better workplace. That makes a better Ohio. It also makes it less likely that I'll get shot when I go to Easton. Okay, right? I mean, that used to be, oh, that won't happen. Really? Okay. Now think about this. You want to have a safe environment? It's everyone's job to make sure that we have a safe environment. The EEOC has made it very clear. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't have these types of things like bystander intervention in your harassment, sexual harassment training, your training is not in compliance with the EEOC 2016 regulations. The single most effective thing you can do, the number one most effective thing you can do to keep workplace bullying and harassment out is bystander intervention. And what's that mean? 57% of the time, the bullying stops in 10 seconds when someone from the outside speaks up and just says, hey, we don't do that here. Or hey, why don't you come with me? Relax, okay? Gets involved because supervisors can't be there all the time. Your people need training in how to be bystanders and intervene. Politely, EPR, but they need to know that's their job. And I always just love this. Hey, I didn't want to get involved. You work here. You work here. And honestly, does it really sound far-fetched that someone would come in and start spraying bullets? You think they're going to spare you? And don't you want to retire with your short-term memory? Don't you want to retire depression and anxiety free? Oh, now here's the kicker. Everyone is at some point a weak link. We are wired for fight or flight. We're not wired to do the middle thing, to keep our calm, to be emotionally intelligent, and to use our empathic listening, parroting, and rewards to address and resolve an issue. We're not wired for that. We've got to start doing that, okay? Because a human animal is hardwired to get divorced and fired. Because we're wired to attack or passive aggressive. So when I ask, in some of your relationships, are you the weak link? And the answer is always yes. Because at some point, we have all lost it and attacked. At some point, we have all been that passive aggressive. No. New rules. Everyone is going to help each other. We're going to create a safe environment. It's going to be safe for people, whoever they are. And it's going to be safe to have your opinion that's different than mine. And what does that mean? It means you don't go and you don't talk about someone behind their back and stab them in their back later. Because is that going to poison the environment? Yeah, it's not going to be safe. Absolutely. And just take this a little further. You know that Jerry Sandusky, Penn State, settled a case on behalf of Jerry Sandusky for child molestation in 1971. We got that? 1971. He was not caught again until 2011 by the Patriot News. So think about that. The Penn State administration, and yes, Joe Paterno, knew all about the child molestation since 1971. So let me ask you, and let's see what the people say in the chat. Let's see what we say here. Who is actually responsible for all those kids, all those little boys who were molested from 1971 to 1911 or 2011? Everybody. Absolutely. Is that what I'm getting on my chat here? Everybody. Okay. Honestly, how do you live with yourself? But you see how free. You work at an organization where we are going to help each other. I don't take people to the woodshed. I sit down and I coach them because we've all done that. And I'll tell you, I've got this hanging in my office, and I think this gets more and more important, particularly after 2021, where the bullets and the staplers and the coffee cups went flying. You've got to get to the root cause. And the root cause is we have toxic work environments, and it's everybody's job to speak up. I have this hanging in my office. I've had it there for 20 years, and this is why I take pro bono cases every so often. I see something that really pisses me off. And shouldn't there be some degree of fairness and justice in the world? Yeah, we can't change the world, but in your workplaces, the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who, in times of great moral crisis, maintain their neutrality. I'll tell you, words to live by. Okay, now that is a real quick look, and I really wanted to look at what these root causes are of this epidemic of violence that we have in today's workplaces. And it really gets down to those basics of a safe environment and addressing and helping the bullies. Questions, comments, deep concerns from anyone, anything we talked about at all? Make sense? All right.
Keep the news off.
Huh?
Keep the news off.
We got a great comment here. Keep the news off. Have you noticed what the news is doing at the end of the news? What they've started doing? They show you the first 15, 20 minutes of all of these horrible stories in which you're sitting there thinking about killing yourself. So you're sitting there loading your gun, or whatever, watching. Then the last story is really uplifting. That they save a cat from a tree, or that somebody donated a kidney, and you're sitting there thinking, hey, that's pretty good. Well, maybe wait till tomorrow, see how things go. But really, that's exactly right. And I know folks, they've stopped watching the news, and I'm like, I don't blame you. It's an emotional beating. And to see what people are doing, it's like the Bronx fire. It wasn't up to code. It was supposed to be this wonderful place for people living in poverty that they can go and they have a safe place. Someone cut corners. It wasn't safe. It killed them. Oh, that just really wears you down, doesn't it? Just wears you down. Great point. Great point. Other points, comments, concerns? Okay, hey, thank you for letting me out of the house. I really appreciate it. Matt, they are all yours.
Thank you again, Scott, so much. Great presentation. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
And well, with that, we will go back to our regular programming for February with split HR and Safety Council meetings at their regular times and dates in the future. And of course, everything that's been talked about, I believe Scott will be sending us information that we can then share with everyone here, and with his contact information as well. Thank you again, Scott. And
thank you.
Hope everyone has a safe and great rest of their week. And we'll see you all hopefully next month. Thank you very much. All right. Awesome. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. There you go.
Oh, thank you very much. What'd you say this turned in?